Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We still have people coming in and joining us. We are so excited today to have Daniel Talbott with us. He's calling in from the West Coast. So it's actually breakfast and learn playwriting prompts for him. Daniel is an ESPA faculty member, in fact, and he's a writer and director and actor, a Lucille Lortel and OB award-winning producer. He's a member of the lit team of Rattlestick Playwrights Theater and is also the artistic director of Rising Phoenix Rep. He's a writer on the second season of The Conners on ABC and was a writer on The Mist. And right now, Daniel is co-writing Land of the Ghosts with Lucy Thurber. Daniel, we're so excited to have you today. Daniel, I turn it over to you and we'll start our little Q&A section.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on board. I don't know how to say this, but thanks for having me, you guys. I miss y'all in New York and love all my New York family. So thank you guys for having me out here. So seriously.
We are so very excited to have you. Let's start with, I'm going to ask you some questions that kind of talk about your process. And we've had a lot of people submit questions for us. And one of the questions was, do you keep a daily routine for your art and work?
I do. It changes based on what I'm working on. So if I'm, I usually am trying to juggle a few things at once. Sometimes a project like The Conners will take over, like with network TV, you're there all the time. So we basically all lived at Warner Brothers, and by the time you get home, you don't have much of a brain left. And so you just want to kind of sleep and watch, really fun, wacky TV and hang out with your kid and then sleep as quickly as possible. So, but when I was working on The Mist, cable is around 4 months, 5 months instead of 10 months. So I was also working on a play commission and, running our theater company and producing some stuff and getting ready to direct a show in New York. So it depends on, but there is always stuff going on each day, but you kind of wake up and look at the day and go, okay, what do I have to tackle today? What's almost like an airport? What is the first plane that has to take off? And sometimes only one plane a day takes off, especially as I get older. But, sadly, I feel like I used to be able to launch a lot of planes in the day. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh my God, one plane feels like a lot. So, but yeah, so I definitely, I love work. So I work makes my life makes sense, work and my family. And I kind of, those are the two things I think about the most. And so I kind of just work all the time, and then my wife and kid or brothers and sisters pull me out of it. And then I go back to work. So I always work or I go a little nuts. So, yeah.
Do you find the balance between family and work? What is that like for a writer?
We're all a lot of my brothers and sisters are in the business as well. They work in it as well. So we all kind of get that part of it, and we all work together a lot. My wife is she's an amazing theater producer, was an incredible actor, and really wanted to be a mom. So when she got pregnant with Bailey, she dropped out of the play she was doing. She's like, I just want to be a mom for a while. And I was like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm forcing you to be home and stuff. I was like, don't do this to me. And so she, so we all, I think balance it pretty well, I hope. I never get to see everybody as much as I wish I could. But we also all work together a lot. So it's, so I think that makes it possible. And I am definitely a workaholic. So there are times when my wife has to be like, okay, it's done. You're done. It's time to go get a milkshake with your kid, So, yeah.
So you tend to collaborate, it sounds like, a lot. My question for you, what is it like being a member of a writer's room?
Oh, it's, each writer's room is really different. It's, and I tend to be a drama writer, which is funny. We were talking about this, how I love The Conners so much, but I'm not a great comedy writer. It's sitcom and network is not what I ever thought I'd get a chance to do. So it was really awesome to have that opportunity here, because I'm very, very much a cable drama writer or film writer. Or off-Broadway dark weird bathtub play writer. So it's it was really cool to get to work on a comedy and to see how just incredible and different the minds in that room. A lot of the minds in that room worked. And so I think about writers' rooms like, like being a professional baseball player in a way, like you're on a different team. And so like when I was on my Miss team, it was a team that I really naturally fell into and I feel like I could bring a lot of my natural kind of abilities to. And in the Connors, I felt like I got traded to another team that I loved and I loved all the people on. But I was like, oh my God, I'm a baseball player now playing tennis. And I love tennis, but like, I'm not that great at it. So I was like, what's happening? I'm supposed to be playing baseball, and so I learned a ton, but they were really patient with me. And I mostly felt like I was learning from them because so many of the folks in that room have just done it for so long and are just so brilliant at it. And are so naturally funny and yet active at the same time. Like I really had to work to make a joke active. My mind just didn't work in that way. So I could come up with story stuff and kind of stuff like that. But it was amazing. I feel like I learned so much from working with those guys, and they're really incredible and just such a kind room, like which goes a long way because there are some rooms that are not as kind. And it if you're going to be there all day, it's nice to have people you love to be in a room with and to make you laugh.
Yeah. What would you say? How do you make a joke active?
They do it really naturally, so it's like that. It's interesting. You'll see, I don't watch a lot of network comedy,
Mm-hmm.
but in doing this, I started watching more just to try to understand the rhythm of it. And what's beautiful about the Connors is that it's all character driven. It's all, if there's a joke, even if it's the best joke you've ever told, Bruce Helford, who's the showrunner, he's like, he'll kill his babies left and right if they're not based in character and they don't move the action and story forward. Where you'll see network shows where people are just, everyone's writing around the joke. We never wrote around the joke. Like we'd find jokes that were born out of character so that the story moved. The story was always like, the play is the thing, the story was the thing at the Connors, and they're so brilliant at that, which is why I love that show so much. Like I grew up watching that show. It was the only network show I actually watched as a kid, and so I was so proud to get to be a part of it for a year. And but it's amazing to see the folks who come from comedy, who are just, their mind just works in humor all the time, and it's in such a beautiful way, and they know those characters so well. Like there was this wonderful writer, Sid, who had worked on the original original Roseanne for a long time, and just he just knows those characters. Like he remembers things from like season 4. I'm like, no, Dan would do that. He did this in season 4, and you're like, oh my God. But it's just an amazing group of people. Like I love them, and I can't wait to see them again soon. And I hope they'll watch my weird, wacky, dark ass drama that I'm gonna work on, and I'll certainly be watching them next year.
Speaking of your weird, dark drama, I actually have a question from Thomas, who's very interested in hearing about your dark, twisted playwriting, and wants to know how you form characters and story for that. So different than the comedy writer's room, that character and story, how do you get into the space and start to craft something in this vein?
Well, it's changed a lot for me. Like it's working in TV and film the last few years mostly has really altered how I approach plays, actually in a really great way. I started as an actor. Like I was an actor for a long time. I went to Juilliard as an actor, got to go with my sister Sam, and like, so like she's still an actor, much better actor than me. But I was lucky to work as an actor and made my living as an actor. And then, when we had our kid Bailey, I started transitioning into writing and directing just to have a little bit more time with my family and control over my life in a funny way, because I was gone a lot as an actor, and I would do a show in town, and then at that time, like New York Theater Workshop was like $490 a week before taxes. So I was like, I then have to go out of town to pay my bills so I could do a show in town and go back and forth. And so I basically started writing, and we started our theater company so that I could be with my family and also work with my family more, and create an environment that we all wanted to work in together. And so when I first started writing plays, like I came at it like an actor, And there were days, I guess, like rehearsal as an actor, that, you know, it just flew. I could get 20 pages done like that. I was like, this is easy. And then I'd get there the next day, and like, you know, a week later I'd written like a line, you know, and I'd be like, oh, this is hell on earth, you know, you know, and so that's how it was all very instinctual to me. And sometimes a play would, like Yosemite started with, I was watching, you know, I was one of the heads of the artistic staff at Rattlestick for a long time. So I'd have to see a lot of readings and workshops. And I was sitting with David Van Essel, and we were watching a workshop, and it was just, I mean, I didn't even know what was happening. It was just unfathomable. Like none of us could understand what was even going on, but I love the theater that it was in. And so my mind kind of went away, and suddenly I saw the theater, and it was like snowy woods, and there were these kids, and like, I just suddenly started seeing my siblings and those kids, and like, and so it was an image. It was like being in a theater and an image that started Yosemite, you know. And then something like Slipping started based on, you know, a really personal relationship. And so it all started in different places. And then it's just trying to write the truth of it, try not to be PC about it, because humans in the end are not PC. And drama, PC is really eliminates drama in a lot of ways. You know, people are really complicated, and you want complicated people on stage. I think that's how I feel. And so just trying to get past my own shit, so that the characters could start to actively kind of talk to each other, and kind of to me, hopefully, and get that down on paper. I also very much came at it as an actor, so that most plays have a built-in rhythm and built-in punctuation. Like if you play Edward Albee's punctuation, I mean, he's a genius. I hope I ever write anything half as well, you know, but it's like, but like if you play his punctuation, it tells you the story and the action in a funny way. There's an activeness in playing his punctuation. And you know, there's amazing writers like David Adjemi and stuff like that who have such incredible rhythm, and you follow their rhythm, and it's like you're dancing with their language or their play, and that's part of the play. I did not want that in my plays. Like I wanted to take like if David's plays are like this beautiful structure that you can just kind of move through, and almost like a beautiful obstacle course that if you play the play, it works. I wanted to like drop a bomb in the middle of an obstacle course, and then be like, so you don't know what the fuck's going to happen next. So that like, literally, if you are not alive on stage and with each other, and it's not fully lived in, the play will not work. It will literally just fall flat. And so I didn't want my play to be foolproof and to be rhythmical. I wanted to like have it be so human that literally the only way it would work is for the actors to fully go there and bring themselves. And so it's almost like a play that like forced collaboration. And so my plays on the page, like sometimes people read them and just be like, God, this is like terrible. I don't know what this is. And then they'll see them and go, oh my God, I thought this play was so bad. Like this works, because they're meant to be acted, and they're meant to be kind of played. And the actors and people that, you know, I mean, my family gets my plays more than anybody. And thank God they get to do a lot of them, but you know, the collaborators I have that get it, like really, I think have a ball with it. And then the folks that don't get it, that are looking for that rhythm and that foolproofedness, they often like try to fix the brokenness. And I'm like, no, it's meant to be messy. It's actually meant to be ugly. It's not meant to be fixed. Like you don't have to fix my rhythm. Like I'm smart. Like I love Shakespeare. I know how to write rhythm. I went to Juilliard. Like it's the most classically based school there is, you know? So it's like, I'm actually doing this on purpose, you know? And so I approach it that way. But now, you know, mostly I'm writing film and TV right now. I have a play commission I'm working on, which I'm so thankful for. But I love that with film and TV, you really structure everything out first, which gives you a deep freedom to even be messier in the playwriting, which I thought I would hate, but like you really have to outline and structure. And like here, so this is my film. I just finished breaking my film like 2 days ago. So if you see all those cards like behind you, there's like 112 cards on the wall. So that's like how I structure everything now, because like that's what you do in like film. It becomes like a written outline. And you know, and so like the colors are basically like act break is green for me, interior is pink, and then exterior is yellow. And so you just you go through, and sometimes dialogue will come to you, sometimes it's just a sentence about what the event is in that scene. So then when you start to write, you at least know that you have railroad tracks that you're kind of able to kind of go down, and when you get really stuck, you at least know kind of where you're still headed, which is really nice. And I had never done it that way. I mean, one of my favorite plays I've written is a play called What Happened, which is only like 38 pages, but that thing took me like a year and a half to write. And I don't know, I mean, it was like, now if you do it this way, it will never be that way again. So I'm like, thank God. So yeah.
So at the beginning, do you know how when you're writing a play, do you know how it's going to end with this sort of structuring, or do you
No,
discover that as you're
it's always a
going?
different entry point for me. Like sometimes I really have a beginning, middle, and end, and then I've got to fill in the rest. Sometimes I have a really strong idea for character. Like I want to play with these two characters or this character and let it unfold and see, so like the outline really is like writing the play. Like you sit there and just, sometimes you get a card on the board every 5 minutes. Sometimes you get a card on the board every 2 days, so you really take your time to go through and go in this scene, and it almost, because I hate thinking about math and I hate thinking about structure. So if I get that out of the way at the top, it actually comes out more organically, and then I can just play, as I'm writing, and which has been really nice, because I was always really afraid of structure and really afraid of like I always hated as an actor, oh, you lift your hand with the apple here and then you cry here. I always hated that because I was just fully in my head. Um, and but I think great work is the marriage of both, is structure and freedom. And so I felt like I was good at the freedom part and really bad at the structure part. And I'm getting better at adding in the structure part as I grow as a writer, if that makes sense. And this helps a lot with that.
That totally makes sense. So in the practice of the outlining, you're getting stronger with the structure.
Yeah, and I'm much better at it now. Like I think this is one of the best structured films I've done. And like 2 films ago, I was like, it was terrible. Like it was like a mess. And like I pitched it out to my brother Will like 3 days ago, and he thought it all made sense. That made me happy. So I was like, okay, good. I don't want to die now. So that's good.
So at what point in your process do you start to pitch out a film or a play? Like once you're done with the structure, or is it different for every project?
For like a job, for like pitching to executives and stuff?
I guess so. Or do you also, I guess this is two-pronged question. Do you, like you said, pitch it to your collaborators, your siblings, that sort of thing, and then go to the pitching for a job?
So it's all really different. So like if it's a personal, like this is a film that I've been wanting to write, and so I always pitch it to my siblings first. So it's usually Lucy, Sam, or Will, or all 3. And I make them listen to the long ass pitch, and so they are always the first people that read it and also hear it if it's a personal project. And then if it's something I've been hired to do, like I got hired to write a pilot last year for something that hasn't gotten made yet, but what they just were like, hey, they like my writing, they saw a sample they liked, they thought I'd be a good fit. It was so not my world that then I'm always pitching out to the executives and kind of sending outlines to the executives until they give me permission to go write based on those outlines. And so that's a really different process. And then the last TV show I sold last year was called Rome, Georgia, and so that's something I had to kind of do a combination of both, where I come up with the whole world, I write the whole outline, but it has to be an outline that is not just for me, but is like a sellable document that I'm writing for a lot of people, which then kind of combines the freelance work and the personal work, where you have to be able to write it so any executive can read it and would be excited about it. And then it still also has to be personal because it's your show. And then I'm in the place right now where I'm just now starting to get hired, like in the last year, to possibly be considered to, hire not on spec, which, and like 2 years ago, everything I was writing was like on spec and going like, hey, I got this great idea. Here's the pilot. Here's this, and so this was the first year that like people are starting to go like, hey, we'll maybe pay you to write the pilot, so that's a really nice feeling. But also still on spec. So half of it's on spec, half is. So I'm getting there though, slowly, you're slowly climbing up. But I also love writing the pilot and having all that, because it feels like you're bringing a whole world to them, and it feels like you're really putting your actions where your mouth is. You know, you're going like, hey, look, I believe in this project. Here's the pilot. Here's the world. Here's the outline. I think we've got something here and can do something together. And so I really, like I said, I like to work. So so it feels good walking into a room with that much under your belt. And I think executives always appreciate that because they have so much that comes at them, and so, you know, there's thousands and thousands of writers trying to get their show made. So I think they can really feel when work has been baked into a project, you know, and I think that's an important thing to think about.
Right on. For your plays, how early do you start asking actors to read or hearing the play out loud?
I am still so I direct most of my plays as well, so it's almost like they're whole projects. Like and I also often work with my siblings or with like close company members or close friends, and so we have like a really full. It's almost like we build it like an ensemble, but you know, so it's a very different, you know, so it's very different than writing a commission for like Echo. Like right now, I'm doing a commission for Echo Theater for, you know, hopefully actors I know and director I know in the end, but also just for their company. So that's a very different experience than just writing one of my weird plays and going like, you know, sometimes I'll have them read scenes. Usually I have them read a first draft, you know, because I'm so freaky until I have that first draft. I very, very seldomly will let people just read scenes. Yosemite, we did it scene by scene, which was really fascinating and hard. Like you feel really naked and you feel really and perfectly naked. Like you don't feel like
Yes.
Brad Pitt naked. You feel like you feel like 50-year-old man who eats Twinkies naked all the time. You know, and so you know, so it's I wish it felt Brad Pitt naked, but it does not. You know, it just feels awful. So at least to me, you know, and yeah, so it's different, and every project really kind of tells you what it is, if that makes sense at all, and I feel that you being flexible and you being open is a huge, and theater, TV, and film, but especially in TV and film. Like in the end, you are a writer for hire, you know, and so in TV you're going to have more power, and film your stuff is going to get rewritten left and right, even if your name's on it. The director and producers have more, you know, they buy your entity. And so it really depends. Like, you know, if you're David Milch, you're going to have a lot more say over what gets put into Deadwood than I'm going to have and what gets put into Rome, Georgia. You know what I mean? And then,
Right.
so you're lucky. Like I'm working, like my film Yosemite is with Jim Parsons' company. That's wonderful right now. And it has an amazing director, Taj Hari Sama, who's at Sundance last year, and then Harris Dickinson, the actor, and you know, so like, and Eric Norsoff, who's the main person I've been working with there, is an incredible executive, and he fights with me about stuff in this great way, and I love him. We become friends, and but he also really like, even though I'm very new to filmmaking, he really has given me a lot of space and a lot of freedom to write, which has been awesome, which is rare, and I know that, and you know, and it's also been very hard on me. Like, look, that's great that it means something to you, but none of the rest of us know what the fuck this is. So, you know, so he's really honest in a great way, and you know, so it's been incredible to be. I've been very lucky with the executives that I have had so far, because they've been incredibly generous and incredibly artistic based, and I think I got very lucky with that. So so I hope I keep getting lucky with that, and that's been good. So.
Yeah, I think you will. Totally. How did you end up transitioning from theater to TV and film? What prompted the move?
You know, the main, you know, I love all three, and all three are my life. All three are what I love to do. And you know, as an actor, I did TV and film, and I always wanted to write and also try to direct and produce TV and film. But in the theater, like, you can't stop if you want to pay your bills. And so, especially doing off Broadway and off Broadway, so I was juggling 5 jobs at the same time, trying to, you know, sleeping literally 2-3 hours a night every night to pay my bills, you know, because I wanted to pay it with theater. And so a lot of it was just not being afraid to slow down and take the risk that I wasn't gonna be able to pay my rent. And I signed with this amazing agent, Liz Robinson, who's one of the heads of principal management, when I did Slipping Out Here. And she was like, look, we love you. We love your plays, but like, you've got to actually write us a freaking TV show if you want to try to do this. And so I was directing one of Lucy's plays. I was directing Scarcity off Broadway. And I had a week during the first week of rehearsal that I knew I was getting out 5 every day. And so I wrote my first pilot entirely in that week because I knew that that was the time I had. So like I would go to rehearsal from noon till 5 and then come back and write for like 6-7 hours straight. And so that's how I wrote my first pilot. And that just opened up. I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to balance this. And so once my mind kind of opened to that was a possibility, I was able to kind of just jump into it and swim. But it was that week. It was weirdly that one week where I just did not sleep. And I was like, I'm going to write this damn thing about my crazy mom. And I'm going to do it, And then I was lucky that this amazing producer, Jen Chambers, took it on as my first show. So that really, I was like, oh, good. Hey, my first show, got taken on. And that helped me kind of go, oh, I can maybe do this a little bit. And I was able to sell my second show to Jen Santioni and called Summer and work with her. And so I've had just really, again, lucky, amazing experiences with really great people, and also shout out Megan Spangen, who was one of the main reasons, who was the reason I got The Mist and has been really great to me. And all ladies too. That's the thing. Everyone's like, where are the women in Hollywood? I'm like, everyone I've worked with has been women for the most part, except for, Bruce and Dave and Bruce. So like really owe them, everything and stuff for being out here, which is cool.
That's awesome. I love that. It takes a village to make some heart.
Always. It's a baseball team. It really is. And like the guy who sells the peanuts is just as important as the guy who's, holding your bat as the superstar. That's like, it all, you can't do your job without the other. And anyone who doesn't get that, it's interesting. You run into folks that don't get that really, because of fear, because of whatever, just they're in a world of their own and they're miserable. Like they're just so unhappy. And the folks that get that, it's awesome to watch. And, and sometimes with a few of my theater friends, there's this like misconception that doesn't exist in TV and film, but there's this amazing tradition of TV and film, that a lot of the crew that I was working with on the Conners that we were all working with, they've done that show since day one of Roseanne. That's like 20, 30 years of working with the same people, and they've all worked together on other shows. And like, there's an amazing tradition of craftsmen in television and film, the same way there is in theater. That's really just beautiful. There's people that I met at the Warner Brothers lot who have been there for 55, 60 years. And, and they're like, yeah, Grace Kelly used to be here. And, it's like, they're great. I mean, they're just, I love that. I love the history of film and the history of TV and of course the history of theater. And there is an amazing tradition in all three. That we often sometimes don't give credit to with TV and film in the same way. Maybe film more, but with television, there really are incredible craftsmen and craftswomen that do that job. And I've learned so much from them. And I definitely came at it with theater. I was like, I don't know, TV, I was a little bratty about it for the first couple months. And then I was like, no, these people are awesome and I don't know what I'm doing. So I better shut the F up and, and learn from them and learned a lot from them, which was great.
When you do find those craftsmen you click with that you don't happen to be related to, how do you build that relationship and keep that relationship going?
Like I hate the word networking. I hate the word, like, I don't think I really, again, that's math to me. It feels calculating and I don't do well with that. Like, so how I think about it is I try to be kind to people. There's definitely times I haven't been, like I'm human, but I really try to be kind to everybody, show up on time, do my work my ass off, do the best job I can do. Be honest with people, which sometimes people take as not being kind, but I actually think honesty is a deep kindness, even when it's hard. And then, some relationships they build naturally, and some relationships, some people are like people I've worked with who I love and I'll see on the street and go like, I loved working with that person, but I don't know anything about them outside of this rehearsal room. And then some people you become like Jessie Dickey, we worked on, I think we acted together first like eons ago. And, now I've directed some of her plays and we've written plays and she's part of Rising Phoenix Rep. And like, now she's working on a TV show. And like, you know, that was just a natural relationship that just grew over time, you know. And so like, you can't force that, you know what I mean? And so there's definitely people out there who I really looked up to, who I was like, oh my God, I want to be this person's friend when I was younger. And they're like, you know, we weren't meant to be friends. You know? And so it's good to learn that. And you know, just if a relationship's meant to happen, it will happen. But I think everyone can see hard work and everyone can see kindness. And so if you work hard and you're kind and you show up, they'll get to know you through your work, which is how you want them to get. Like, you don't want to get to know them when they're drunk at a party after a play, or you don't want to, you know, while you're stuffing cheese in your mouth, you know, and stuff like that, and running to the subway. Like, you want people to know you for your work, because then they'll know you with respect, and they'll actually get to know what you, if we're here to work, that is the only way anyone needs to know you. And then if you become friends, if you become, you know, more than that, like that, then that's icing on the cake. But really the only thing, so I always was like, with my students and just with myself, I was like, do your work, be open, invite people to come to share your work with. So, because in the end, you've got to share your work, and through that, you'll find your collaborators. But it may not always be who you think it's going to be. It may be a surprise, and you cannot. I don't think you can calculate that. Like, I think it's kind of gross and manipulative when you do. And I can always smell it. Like, I see it, believe me. And I mean, people are like, oh, you're so nice. You're so nice. It's like, but I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? And so, like, I can, like, I get emails a lot where people are like, oh, I heard you're nice. I can take advantage of you. And I'm like, no. You know, so I don't need to be rude about it, but I also don't need to say yes. You know, you can also say no.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny that people take kindness for being stupid. And it's actually, in this society, it's a lot of work to be kind. So, and you know, and I would say kindness is much more important than anything else to me. And I don't mean being nice and being like gross and fake. I mean, like, being kind, which is empathy, which is compassion, which is trying to go, like, that person's human no matter what path they're on that's different than my path. And forgiving myself when I screw up, and being able to look at others and go, hey, I don't like that action. I don't like what that is, but they're human. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how you actually create art without that. You know, there's a lot of, like, the cancel me culture, and I've canceled that person. I'm never, like, it's so black and white to me that I don't know. I wouldn't want to see that play, because it's over in 2 seconds. If you cancel someone, the play's over. Do you know what I mean? There's no drama. There's no conflict. There's no resolution. There's no action, continual action, if you cancel something. And so you know, and believe me, I think there's people's action. I mean, my first job through Megan Spangen was for Weinstein Company, which was The Mist. You know, I worked for Bob Weinstein. I never worked for Harvey Weinstein. And, you know, I worked for Christian Torpa, who's become one of my friends and who I love so much, the showrunner of The Mist. And hopefully I'm going to be working with him again. And, you know, and so our room was the nicest, cool. It was such a great group of people. Megan was my main boss, Megan Spangen. And, you know, it was just awesome. And then when all that went down, I was like, you know, she was getting calls where, like, you know, how could you do this to other women? And I'm like, she's the most supportive person I know. Like, she created my job and my life. She created so many, like, and I was so sad to see her getting attacked like that. And she was like, look, Bob is not Harvey, you know what I mean? And, like, she worked for Bob, you know, and, you know, yeah. And I don't know, I'm off on a tangent now, but what I'm trying to say is just that, idea is very different than action, you know what I mean? And so, and theater in the end has to deal with action, and action is complicated, it's ugly, it's messy, it's surprising. And you can't be black and white with it, or the play is just not interesting, and the film is not interesting. And it becomes agitprop instead of action, you know? So, and that's my opinion. But I think I see a lot of plays like that. I read a lot of plays like that now, where I'm like, there's an agenda behind this. So the characters actually are just you speaking. They're not speaking for themselves. And that's a problem, you know, I think. So.
Yeah. Wow. This is so great. My question for you now, following up, because of where we are now and we are forced to live, it seems like, on web calls, have you found any resources or any practices that are allowing you to continue to collaborate and create community?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is that, like I think of work as like the ultimate act of gift giving. You know what I mean? So everything is reaching out if you're doing theater. You know what I mean? So it's like all of theater is a reach forward. Like, and if it's not, if it's you sitting there and going, watch me, watch me, watch me, it's there's not a balance. You know what I mean? It's not to be dirty, and I know there's people on this call, so not, but like how I used to explain to my students, would I be like, look, there's a big difference between masturbating and making love. And actors who masturbate, I'm not there for that. That's your own private time. You know what I mean? But there's a huge active difference between trying to make love, which is all about someone else. Do you know what I mean? About respecting someone else and
Yes.
getting to know someone else and making someone else feel great. And so I try to think of theater in that way, that and I use masturbating and making love because it's active, because it's such a human universal act, and everything in the end, I think, should go back to that action. And so, so it's a huge gift giving. So in this time, there's millions of ways to make work. I believe you can always be making work. You can always reach out. Like Echo Theater is going to be doing this thing where, we've written plays for them, and they're going to rehearse them and do them through Zoom. So the two characters will be talking like this, which should be really interesting. And I know a lot of people already been doing that. And and also, like, we're doing a COVID-19 screenwriting group with some, with a couple family members and then like a bunch of close friends. And, we get on Zoom and we talk through structure, and we talk for where we're at, and we're all writing new projects, and which has been awesome, and really, really, really helpful. And then also, this is also a great time to the world is so fast and so complicated, and that it's
Right.
kind of nice that I try to think of this almost like a forced Zen retreat in some ways, where you're forced to slow down. And I really try to, and what's amazing is I see so much how I never slow down. Like the other day I was like, gotta do this, gotta do that. I was like, what the hell do I gotta do? There's no one on the fucking street. Like I was like, I don't gotta do anything, and so, and so I've also been really trying to just, find the positives, and, watching films that I've never seen, and making, doing that every day, and reading, the massive stack of books I have all over the house that I've never read, and had the time to do, and making sure that I'm working. And also for my friends that are like, hey, I can't work right now. I'm too scared. Like my brain is too, like being there for them and calling them every day and sending them stupid gifts, and just be like, every person is unique and has their own way through this. And we all have to be understanding of that. And, there's this thing that was getting sent around, like Shakespeare wrote King Lear and during the plague, and I'm like, that's awesome, but I mean, I don't think any of us can write King Lear for the most part. And it's like, that's a huge people, and but like, if you're not writing King Lear, that's fine. If you're just baking, that's fine. If you're scared, that's fine. And if you want to use this time to work, that's also fine. And it's like, everyone's got to get through this in the way that they can get through it. Do you know what I mean? And we all need to have a lot for everyone's individual path through this, and I've been going really hard for the last 3 years. So I've liked having a little bit more downtime with my family. And, I'm trying to think about it in a positive way, which is hard when so many people, we've lost a couple friends in the last few weeks, and, friends in the hospital, and, so it's not trying to make light of that at all, but also trying to kind of go like, hey, what can we do to help, and what can we do to get through this time, if that makes sense at all. So
That totally makes sense. I'm thinking one more question, and then we'll dive into the prompts.
Okay, I hope the prompt helps. I hope people are like,
I think it totally is. So when you find your writing feeling stagnant, what do you do to create or inspire that action?
It's different on everything. So like, if I'm writing a play that I'm just writing for myself, there are huge periods of being stagnant. And what I try to do is, like, I'll hit my head against something for maybe 10, 20 minutes, and then I will let it, which is very hard. And I'll go hike, or I'll go jog, or I'll go play tennis, or I'll go watch a film. I'll force myself to go completely do something else. And I find that subconsciously you are still working on the problem. And sometimes you need to just stop hitting your head against it and you need to step back and then come back to it. So that helps me a lot. And, but with like TV and film, like in TV, you have, with the Connors, we're filming every other week. So, so you have to get that script done. It does not matter if you're stagnant, so it's like, so like sometimes just the terror and the goalpost is really helpful. So I also try to give myself some very specific goals and really stick to them, and cause I come from sports. So like that actually really helps me. Just knowing that what you've got to hit and working to hit that is very, very, very helpful to me. And also giving yourself permission that like the first draft can be shit. Sometimes the first draft is great. Sometimes it's fucking terrible. And then you build on that and remind yourself that it's climbing stairs. It's hiking up a hill. Like it's never, you're not going to like write King Lear and just spit it out. I mean, some people, I went to school with Adam Rapp and I really look up to Adam and think he's a great writer. And he would literally write some of those plays in like 2 nights and like they were great. And I was like, how the fuck do you do that? That's just not fair. I am not that person. So mine is kind of a workhorse thing. Like I just like to work really hard. And there's some people that can do that and some people can, and every writer is totally different, and that's fine. In the end, it doesn't matter. It matters like what you share to the audience in the final version of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Great. I turn it over to you to lead the prompt.
Okay. Cool. Oh God. Okay. There's specific screens. I love it. Wait, I'm going to just look at my notes so I remember things. Okay. So this exercise I actually love. It's a combination of a bunch of different things. It's called The Visitor. So I don't know what you guys are working on or who's even on this, because I can only see Sarah and Kelly and like 2 other people, which is great. And, but if you're working on something right now, the thing, it's called The Visitor. And the idea is that no matter where you're at in your play, in your TV show, in your film, suddenly an unexpected character enters into it. Either like Sarah Kane blasted style, where like blow a fucking hole through the wall and come through, or, like however it is, this character appears. And the character can be anything you want it to be. That's why I sent an image that I found kind of evocative that I loved. It's a Nan Goldin photo. The character can be a ghost. It can be Jesus. It can be a Barbie doll that speaks to you. It can be a firecracker. It can be a walking condom that throws knives. It can be, but whatever it is, that's the Nan Goldin photo. Whatever it is, the character has to just rip through into your narrative and become a part of the world and become essential to the main action and the essential action of the play, TV show, or film. And what this also does is it deals with how you actively create surprise. And especially I think in all 3, but especially I think all 3, I'm just going to say all 3, that surprise, the element of surprise, both to yourself, to your characters, and to your world, is such an important thing. And this is an organic way and an active way to kind of force surprise and enter surprise into whatever you're working on. So I'll just read a stranger, a character that has not existed in the play, needs to appear and become part of the world. Enter into the story, the structure, the unfolding of the central action of the play. This character should surprise almost everyone in your story. I sometimes play with the fact that one person expected this character, but no one else does. So that that can tie into some of the characters you already have, that they're like, oh, I knew this creature, this condom that throws knives was coming, whatever it is. And it should certainly surprise you. You should not plan for it. You should not know. It should kind of be a collaborative surprise for you too. It should start talking to you and surprise the heck out of you, because that will open up the whole play. And spark new avenues, actions, and angles in your work. I added 3 ingredients. This can be subconscious. This can be something you actually put into the play. This can come in with the new character. But I find that the more you can take something and actively, even if it's impressionistic or whatever, that actively becomes part of the play, it will help you unlock things, and it will help you break through if you're feeling stagnant, if you're feeling like creatively blocked or anything like that. So the 3 ingredients are a child floating dead, eyes open in the ocean, a visitation, knocks at night, and a garden, whatever that means. And then the line of dialogue is, I am all the daughters of my father's house and all the brothers too, and yet I know not, which is from Twelfth Night. And then I sent 2 songs, which hopefully she'll send forward to you guys. One is the Dirty Three. It's called Ends of the Earth. And it's from their Ocean Songs album. And then the other one is Angel from Montgomery, the John Prine song. All sending prayers to John Prine right now. Either his version or the Bonnie Raitt John Prine version. And all of that should kind of feed in, again, subconsciously, impressionistically, or directly into this visitor that's coming into your play. And that's the prompt.
Great. So I'm going to play some of those sounds and just give people time to write. We'll take like 10 minutes to just kind of throw our ideas at the wall and see what might stick. And then we can talk about that. If you have any questions, send them my way. Yeah, let's do some writing.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
great. We're going to just take a pause. Daniel's going to say goodbye to us all, and then we'll play the next sound and continue writing.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. It's been an immense pleasure, and thank you for sharing your heart and like your love of the team and the ensemble. I know I can only speak to my personal experience, but this has been a source of inspiration in my day, my week, my month.
Thank you.
My year.
Thank you guys for having me, and be safe out there, you guys, please, and stuff. And I hope I get to see you all in person soon. So definitely in person, not on screen, but screen's awesome too. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Take care. All right, all. I have another sound for you, so I'm going to share that. Keep writing, keep exploring this prompt. Let's keep writing.
I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another. Child is grown old. If dreams were thunder and lightning was desire, this old house would have burnt down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, I had me a cowboy. It wasn't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time, no matter how I tried. The years just flowed by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen. I can hear them there buzzing. Ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? So make me an angel that flies. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. You got to give me the one thing I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn, whether it's your first time, whether it's your second time. We love having you here, and I have to say, like, popping into the breakout rooms, I loved hearing what everybody was writing, and I think the conversations are just so fruitful, and I hope you're getting as much out of this as I know I am. I only get what I get out of it because of all of you, so thank you so much for joining us. We have one little prompt to send you on your way with. What Daniel writes and the way he describes writing is very visceral. So now we ask you, meaning Now, later tonight, at some point this week, to take the scene that you've written about a visitor, this surprise to almost everyone in your story, your world, and you, the playwright, and switch senses. Take the scene and remove the dialogue. Now, reimagine and rewrite this same moment and story in movement, in actions, in dance-like motion, and in sound. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Primary Plus. It's a virtual online community where you can engage with everyone who's coming to Lunch and Learns and watching our master classes. So join that group. Follow us on Instagram at Primary Stages and also at Espograms, and connect with us on Twitter at Primary Stages. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have anything you want to share with us based off of the prompt today or the prompt we're sending you away with, share it, tag us, email it to me. We want to hear from you. So have a great rest of your day, and I hope you all get to see the sun. All right, bye everyone.